I think we're coming to a point now where the unit and MBridge are about to merge, and there's a lot of details to that we can go into bit by bit, and it's transformational. It's a paradigm shift in international finance and economics, right? It's a generational event. But yeah, I would start there, and we'll go into the raw source material and stuff like that because that's more important than what I think are had to say on the matter. In the beginning of the abstract, it says, we introduced the fractal monetary framework, which allows global financial systems to function without directly using any national currencies for international trade and reserves. The unit is designed to serve as a convenient and stable global currency alternative within the existing financial infrastructure. It is also expected to be more resilient than any national currency to political exigencies of the day. The important things to note kind of further down the paper, the unit token is not a cryptocurrency. It is not a stable coin. You know, it gets confused a lot between, well, yeah, it's going to use distributed ledger technology, but it is not a permissionless blockchain where anyone can get on and, you know, conduct transactions. It is a permissioned blockchain. Very important to distinguish that, right? Kind of further down in the introduction, it tells us governance of the unit ecosystem structured as a decentralized autonomous organization can be substantially enhanced by cooperation with an international governmental organization endowed with international legal personality as governed by the current intergovernmental agreement, the 1980 Budapest Convention. Such an IO may act as a custodian for the decentralized autonomous organization that underpins the unit ecosystem. You know, the unit as a whole, if you take 100% of the basket, is 40% gold and 60% other currencies, with no currency taking up greater than 30% of the basket, so that one, no single currency can dominate gold as the determining value of a unit, and so that no currency essentially becomes the new international reserve currency, that gold is the reserve. It's clear that several BRICS nations, even before BRICS existed, have been preparing for this moment, particularly China. You know, you can look at their books and what they publish as far as their gold reserves, and sure, their official gold reserves that they report have been growing substantially over the last 18 months. Continuing to refine the legal and governance side, there has to be very clear lines delineated for how foreign exchange works, what's the technology requirements for the system, who controls what, and where are the lines, and how do we change rules, how do we admit new members. All that has to be figured out, and that's what they've been hammering out for the last year. So now, by the Kazan summit in October, I think they will be ready to say, yes, good job, finance ministers. You figured out the problem that we set out for you a year ago. We have a solution, and we're going to implement it. So I think that's what you'll see in October at the Kazan summit. You will see an official announcement of some version of a distributed ledger technology-backed sovereign monetary system that allows nations to use their own currencies within their own borders and even outside their own borders with the permission of the central bank, where they can maintain whatever capital controls that they want. Obviously, there's pluses and minuses to that, but essentially they have sovereign control of it. And the technology is done. MBridge is already set. You know, you saw the minimum viable product get announced, but they've been doing transactions on it for the first half of this year. You know, they did the pilot back in 2022, and the four central banks that are part of that really went through this whole process that you see happening with the BRICS finance ministers. The four participants and even some of their observing participants have already done this. They did it in 2022 and 2023. So MBridge is ready to go, and the nodes exist. They're co-located with gold storage at the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, Shanghai Free Trade Zone, Hong Kong, Thailand. I think you'll see one come in the Mumbai Commodity Exchange, MCX, and they're all going to integrate. And the unit is just the foreign exchange mechanism that's going to be plugged in there. You can see in the MBridge literature, and you know, at a recent conference about a month ago, Benedictine Nolans, who's the head of the BIS Innovation Hub in Hong Kong, she talks about the process of how transactions happen on it and an off-exchange FX mechanism. That's unit. That's how they're going to set FX in a stable way that isn't linked to the dollar. They're already doing transactions on MBridge, like I said.
Yeah, and also in that notice that we saw from the BIS last week, highlighted here that did have the Saudi central bank joining MBridge. Also, I know you mentioned you had some other thoughts on the United Arab Emirates.
If you're the PBOC and Hong Kong and Thailand, why do you go out and include the central bank of the UAE? I mean, seems random, but it's obviously not. That is the largest physical gold trading center outside of London and Shanghai. 25% roughly, if you take the DMCC's, the Dubai Multi-Commodity Centers stats, roughly 25% of the world physical gold transactions happen there. It is also geopolitically the most neutral state in the Middle East and best positioned to bridge the link. So they've been positioning themselves, the central bank of the UAE, to be essentially the London of the Middle East in gold trade, financial innovation. Where did all the Russian money run to in February of 2022 when stuff started getting frozen? It went to primarily Dubai. It's also the best avenue. There's a tremendous amount of trade between Dubai or the UAE and India. It's the easiest way for India to be incorporated into an MBridge unit framework until they have their own node set up in Mumbai. Um, that's why you see central bank swap agreements and cooperation agreements being signed between the UAE and India. That's India's path into the BRICS financial system currently, so that they don't have to rely on the renminbi or yuan or any Chinese involvement effectively, because that's a non-starter for India. It's pretty indisputable. Now, is it called unit? Is it called whatever it's called? Unit as a framework is going to be the foreign exchange mechanism that's implemented. And all this ties back to MBridge, which has been running longer, quite frankly, because when you read through the unit white paper, it talks about fractal design and node infrastructure. And as soon as you read that, if you've been reading MBridge documents like I have since 2001, it immediately points to MBridge. That is the structure. Now, you can make an argument one way or another, like how much did the creators of Unit and the white paper know about MBridge and things like that. Ultimately, it doesn't matter.